Why did God ask Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? What do we do with violence in the Bible? The Bible has many difficult passages for modern readers, but few are more challenging than the moment when God asks Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac in Genesis 22. This story causes us to ask a lot of troubling questions. What kind of God would ask for this? Is God commanding child sacrifice? Isn't this request in conflict with everything else God seems to value? We are in the middle of a series on difficult passages in the Bible. In part 1, we looked at the flood. Now we jump ahead a few chapters in Genesis to consider the requested sacrifice of Isaac. If the Bible is a unified story that leads to Jesus, then is Jesus connected to such a disturbing request? Is the God of love found anywhere in this passage? Let's take a look. Abraham's long-awaited son. Genesis 1-11 tells the story of how God created all things and made humans in his image to rule on his behalf. However, the humans misuse their rule, and the world spins out of control into violence and death. This all leads up to the rebellion and scattering of the people from Babylon. God calls a man named Abram, later known as Abraham, to launch his plan to rescue and bless the whole world through Abraham's family. But there's a problem: Abraham is childless, and his wife is barren. Although this problem lurks in the background of Abraham's story, God reaffirms his promise. One day, Abraham will have a son, and his descendants will be a great nation. And after decades of waiting, Isaac was born. But the long wait for Isaac wasn't Abraham's true test. This comes in the very next chapter, when God tells Abraham to take his beloved son and sacrifice him. Why would God promise Abraham a son and then take the son away? Is this a cruel trick, a strange inconsistency, or is something else going on? What's really going on here? When we look at the context of this story, we notice three things that lead us to greater understanding of this passage. 1. This wasn't Abraham's first experience with God. God had already revealed himself to Abraham many times through Abraham's successes and failures. Abraham knew the character of God. Once, he even asked God, "Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" After this encounter, perhaps Abraham settled this question in his mind once and for all. Abraham obeyed God's unexpected command because he trusted God's promise and knew him to be good and trustworthy. 2. Abraham didn't think Isaac would die. When they reached the mountain, Abraham told his servant, "Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you." Notice how the text includes both Abraham and the boy, Isaac, in the return journey. And consider Isaac's question about where the lamb for the sacrifice would come from. Abraham responds, "God himself will provide the lamb." It seems Abraham prepared himself to do what God asked, but he expected something else to happen. The author of the book of Hebrews gives us insight to Abraham's thoughts. He considered that God was able even to raise Isaac from the dead. And in a metaphorical sense, Isaac is resurrected since he was spared death when God provides the ram in his place. When the Bible depicts violence, things are often not what they seem at first glance. A surface reading may hide a character's motivations and intentions. In other cases, we can shed light on difficult passages by referencing other points in the Bible. This is certainly the case with our next point: prophetic reenactment. 3. This was a prophetic reenactment. The story of Abraham and Isaac takes on a larger significance when you place it in the context of prophetic reenactment. Throughout the Bible, God asked prophets to act out things that he said he would do. The acts themselves are a lot less strange when we see them in this light. Then we start asking different questions. When we read Genesis 22, we may think, how could God have required this? But when we view the story through the lens of prophetic reenactment, we can instead ask, what did God intend for us to learn through this? Just as God called the prophet Hosea to act the part of God in marrying a prostitute, the word of the Lord which came to Hosea the son of Beeri, during the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and during the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go, take to yourself a wife of harlotry and have children of harlotry, for the land commits flagrant harlotry, forsaking the Lord." So he went and took Gomer the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And the Lord said to him, "Name him Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will punish the house of Jehu for the bloodshed of Jezreel, and I will put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. 5 On that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel." Then she conceived again and gave birth to a daughter. And the Lord said to him, "Name her Lo-Ruhamah, for I will no longer have compassion on the house of Israel, that I would ever forgive them. But I will have compassion on the house of Judah and deliver them by the Lord their God, and will not deliver them by bow, sword, battle, horses or horsemen." She had weaned Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and gave birth to a son. And the Lord said, "Name him Lo-Ammi, for you are not my people and I am not your God. Yet the number of the sons of Israel will be like the sand of the sea, one which cannot be measured or numbered. And in the place where it is said to them, "You are not my people," it will be said to them, "You are the sons of the living God." And the sons of Judah and the sons of Israel will be gathered together, and they will appoint for themselves one leader, and they will go up from the land, for great will be the day of Jezreel. So God asked Abraham to play the part of God in the sacrifice of his own son.